Hey y'all, welcome to Musical Miles Podcast, where live music and great stories take center stage. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at TETON Guitars. Whether you're picking tunes around a campfire or taking the stage at your favorite honky-tonk, TETON Guitars delivers rich, soulful sound built for the journey. Learn more at tetonguitars.com. Now let's dive into some music and memories. Hey, music lovers, welcome to Musical Miles Podcast. I'm your host, Byron Duffin. I am here with Mr. Justin Lawrence.
Thank you for having me.
Correct? Justin?
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome. So, interesting story, how we kind of got hooked up. So, ran into Ryder, Kiesner,
Yep.
Yeah, Kiesner. So, Ryder is a PRCA novelty act.
Yeah, very good at what he does.
Trick roper, and his wife's a trick rider, gunslinger, whip cracker.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
Lights
pretty
on fire.
I met him when he was a kid. Before he was, here at the NFR. His brother's name is Roper, and Roper rides and Ryder ropes.
That's how you remember him.
Yeah, that's how you remember him. And met their parents, and they were telling. I think at the time they had a little pony team.
Yeah,
a little some pony act, and anyway, it was kind of cool deal. But
nothing surprises me with those two, and they're both just so crazy talented. Both of them. Yeah.
Well, we are here in Las Vegas, Nevada at the National Finals Rodeo, and we're here at the Westgate Hotel and Casino. They've been gracious enough. My friend Cody Oden got us set up here to do the podcast interviews, and I'm giving away that guitar that's sitting next to you on Monday, and it's a TETON guitar, and so I've been going around getting autographs on it. And I ran into Ryder, and I said, hey, I remember you. Do you remember me? And we talked for a minute. And I said, would you and your wife autograph this guitar? So they did. And then we got to talk. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I do a podcast. I'm going to give this away. And he goes, you need to talk to my friend Justin Lawrence. He's an old bronc rider that is a singer songwriter. And I said, I'm up for all, I'm open to all takers, right? Anybody that'll sit down that's crazy enough to sit down with me, we're going to get their story. So
yeah, I've done some crazy. So
I don't know.
This isn't the craziest.
I don't know much about you or your musical career, but kind of share your music journey with us.
Well, the essence of my entire music journey. I mean, I found a saxophone in a storage container, and it belonged to my great uncle. And I knew nothing about him. And my dad goes, oh, yeah, that's your great uncle's. And I said, well, who is he? He goes, well, he kind of had some cool friends. He did some cool things. And he pulls out this other box. And there's pictures of him playing with the Beach Boys,
oh, my gosh.
Him with John Wayne, Festus. and he was head of the Shriners Band. I mean, this guy was something. And so I think I was about 10, 11 years old. I started on saxophone. And then I don't know why, just anything that made sound, I loved picking it up and just messing with it. And, I come from a cow horse family. They showed cutting horses and all that. And I bought a guitar when we were at the World Show in Texas, Stephenville, Texas, at, like a Tractor Supply store or something for $100. And
what a place to buy a guitar. Not where you typically buy your guitars.
No.
That sounds like a place Del Brisby would buy a guitar.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then tell everybody
he probably would play to have the Texas flag painted.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So I just I taught myself how to play, and then rodeo, and guys would know songs. I'd be, hey, teach me that, and it just kept evolving from there. And then I was a buddy of mine I grew up with, Mr. Joe Costa. Shout out to Joe. He's a producer. Him and his wife have got Joe and Martina group. He was co-writer on Don't Tempt Me with a Good Time, Luke Combs. The man's a phenomenal producer, phenomenal songwriter. He ran sound for me one night, and because he was home from Nashville in California. He's from my area.
Okay.
And he called me the next day and said, hey, man, I got to thinking, you've never recorded anything. Because at the time, I just play for side cash, free beer. Just a lot of people didn't even know I played.
Right.
I said, yeah, I really don't want to. And he goes, no. He goes, hey, I think you ought to. And I was like, I'm not going to pay you money I'm not going to make back. Nope, I'm good. And he goes, no, this one's on us. I want you to see that you can do this. So we went into the studio. We recorded Tonight We Ride. And first rodeo I went to after that was Yuma, Arizona, and they played it, and all of a sudden Honeycutt Rodeo starts coming down, and they had no idea. Again, they'd seen me ride my whole career. And
right.
Then they said, yeah, we need you for a concert at our home rodeo in Alamosa, and I've never. And they're like, I go, well, how big's, I've ridden at the rodeo, but how big's the concert? And they go, oh, Chancey's done it the past 2 years. And I'm just like,
well, I was just going to say this is very reminiscent of Chancey's.
Well, and so thankfully, I was a Chancey fan, when he started, and one of my traveling partners, Ben Londo, went to college with Chancey. So, when we'd go ride in Cheyenne, we'd go stay at Chancey. So I was fortunate enough, I met Chancey, became buddies, and,
Right.
So I called him, and I'm just like, man, I don't know what to do. And he goes, what's your deal? Are you recording now? I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't, but I'm getting this element. He goes, dude, that's a fun show. Take it, do it. And so my producer called in I was just putting together a good band of guys I'd known a long time that, older guys that just know what they're doing. There's nothing better than musicians who've been around the block, really know their stuff. But for this show, I needed to throw something together real quick. So used my producer's band, flew them out from Nashville to there. It was a great success. And after that, it's, just keeping it going.
Cool. That's so cool. Well, Chancey sat right there yesterday. So I got to interview Chancey yesterday and I knew a little bit about his story because I had a chance to, I've listened to Chancey's music, but didn't, when I try and do an interview, I like to do a little back story review. I like to know a little bit about the artist that I'm talking to, but this was kind of we're shooting from the hip here today.
Right.
So, but I appreciate you taking the time and coming in. So let's talk a little bit about, so Tonight We Ride. Is that something you wrote?
No, that's an old Tom Russel tune. So
Okay.
I've always been a big Tom Russel fan.
Is that, did Mickey and the Motorcars cover that? Is that, maybe I'm thinking a different one?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Tom's the only one, the only one I'd heard do it. I knew there was, I think, maybe one other guy who had it.
Okay.
I forget who it was.
Okay.
But I've played that ever since I was like that was like one of the first songs I wanted to learn. And it's if you're new to playing, it's it's not hard, but the chord changes in it are a little
tricky.
Tricky. You really got to pay attention. So, but I just obsessed over learning it, and then playing it for so long. And
well, that's probably a good one to cut your teeth on because if you're playing those ones that are easy to make those chord changes and transitions, then you never forced to get better. I play and I'm still, and I've only been really playing legitimately for about a year, but I played for off and on my whole life, but I still suck, but I dedicated some time to it now. So,
oh man, I've been dedicating a lot of time and I'm still ain't all that good.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, he's, even Corb Lund sat there yesterday and talked about, I'm not a very good guitar player and a lot of guys don't really profess to be great guitar players. Right. I have interviewed some great guitar players.
Oh, I bet.
So Rio Tripiano, I don't know if you know who Rio is. Yeah, Rio is way good. I mean, can play the piano and the guitar like nobody's business.
Those guys are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
I mean, they really. My fiddle player JT, he, I try not to play without him. It just what he brings to the table is just. It's so phenomenal. And
well, it just intrigues me that you guys can all get together and make all that racket, make it sound like music, right? Because you got somebody up there beating on the drums, and you got somebody up there playing the fiddle and the bass and lead, and then you've got rhythm guitar, and you got all that stuff. And how the hell's everybody's timing so good?
Yeah,
and that's something.
That's dang sure hard to find in a lot of guys is that tightness.
Yeah.
We had to transition to a new drummer, and luckily his meter's on great. He's phenomenal. Old Whiskey Pete, I call him.
Okay.
But still, it's kind of tough. Like, those Nashville cats obviously are masters of it.
Oh yeah.
But when the struggle to get a band really, really tight, I'm finding out now that I'm thrown into this world. Later in my life as the rodeo and starting to. Exit out as I'm aging, and but getting a band just so that tight, and like my fiddle player and we've been playing together, I don't know, 6 years now, and I can't play with anybody else the way I can play with him.
Sure.
We can read each other's minds.
It's a little bit like a team roping partner or a dance partner, if you will. So what do you consider your music genre? Is it like that Bakersfield sound since you're a California guy? Or
and shoot, I just live an hour north of there. But,
right.
I really, my biggest influence, of course, Chris Ledoux. Like
Absolutely.
That was my first concert of my life when I was 6. I mean, and the guy that rode Bronx and played music is just like, I wanted to be that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
We all did.
Oh yeah,
we all did.
And just and at this point, that's probably my greatest accomplishment. Was that first concert I did get in Alamosa. Was I'm headlining the concert and I rode in the rodeo. And I drew the best horse I've been trying to draw for years. And
really?
So it just...
So were you entered the same year you played?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you're talking Alamosa, Colorado?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I've spent some time in Alamosa.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on there.
Quite a bit of time there.
It's a good little town.
No, it's a good town. It's a good town. Yeah, and there's some great people there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Idaho, and I worked in the potato industry, so that kind of ties together with Colorado. That's big potato country.
Yeah, and shoot, they had us back again this year.
Okay.
And then they called me, Dawn Honeycutt. She called and she goes, I know it's not good to have the same artist twice, but like we'd love to have you again. And I was like, absolutely, nothing's going to hold me back. What's the date? I have a buddy that asked me to officiate his wedding.
Oh,
so
no.
I had to say no.
Oh, no.
I was so disappointed in that.
Oh,
but,
shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully your buddy only gets married once.
I know. Well, I've officiated 4, and I haven't had any divorces yet. No divorces yet.
Well, you must be the lucky penny in that.
I'm hoping so. I just got married myself last month.
I was just going to ask you. Oh, just last month?
Just last month. I'm fresh.
you're freshy. So, well, you got a good start. It's, I've been at it for 42 years. So.
Jeez. Yeah, see, I'm praying we go to that and beyond.
I'm sure I probably have kids older than you.
Probably.
How old are you?
32.
Oh, yeah, way older.
So what's the secret then? Let me ask you. I know you're the one supposed to be asking questions.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm free game here. My wife likes to tell everybody that the secret is I made the living and she made the living worthwhile.
I'd love that actually.
Yeah,
that's actually
so
really great.
It's a pretty good saying. Her mom and dad kind of had that same idea, and they were married a long time. Her mom passed from breast cancer, and then her dad died 20-some years later, 17 years later. But great. That was a great love affair. My wife and I are very fortunate. She's here. I'm here riding on her coattails at the NFR. She's worked for Stetson Clothing Company here for 18 years.
Wow. So
just at the finals, but they have been so good to us and have taken such good care of us, and they're getting lots of free shout outs on the podcast because they are so good to us. But yeah, Stetson Clothing has been phenomenal.
You got to help good people.
Yeah, and so she's been very, very loyal to them, and we're very loyal as well. So.
Yeah.
But we've been to the NFR 25 years in a row.
Man.
So, and I spent 13 years in the rope business.
Okay.
So I ran a company in Idaho called Cowboy Cordage, which was Rocky Mountain Gator and Magnum Rope companies. I ran their wholesale division for those guys, and then we made saddle pads and all kinds of fun stuff. And so anyway,
wow.
But then I left that industry and got back into the ag deal. And so anyway, long story short, I've always came to the finals. So,
yeah.
And it's just always this is like a family reunion to us because we know so many of the even still the contestants. You know, Jonathan Torres, who's here, Heelan. I've known Jonathan for a lot of years. Clint Summers. I actually interviewed Clint Summers. I haven't interviewed very many. Well, he's the only contestant I've interviewed.
Right.
But anyway. You can't have a rodeo without music.
Yeah.
So it does tie together. I've really tried to stay focused on the music because we call it musical miles, and we've traveled lots of miles to and live music is our true love.
Yeah.
So we all like to listen to a CD or vinyl or download a streaming platform, but nothing replaces that.
At its rawest form.
No, it's so cool. So tell me. So how much music have you written yourself?
Man, I wrote a good amount when I was in college, and I have just always struggled with thinking that any of it was worth a damn, honestly. So I mean, first thing I did get done writing a song is I throw it out, and I never did much with it. And I've got a good amount of songs written up, but. Probably one of my biggest struggles is how much of a perfectionist I am.
Okay.
And my biggest struggle too is chord progressions, melodies. Because I learned from copying people, I feel like that translates into my music in the creative process. And but
you know what? It's hard not to because I'm just telling you that I mean I can play that guitar and I know probably 20 chords, but your bass chords are, C, D, G, E, A minor,
Your old
E,
cowboy
E,
chords, yeah.
I mean, and there's thousands of songs use those same chords. So it's just a strumming pattern, and
Right.
you have to get past that, because I'll play a song and then I go, well, hell, that I'm playing This Old Porch by Lyle Lovett, and Somebody Save Me by a Jelly Roll is very similar.
Yeah.
Just the chord progression and the music's a little different.
I'll be writing a song, and I was writing one for a horse trainer I worked for many years. And
who was that?
Gary Van Heusen,
Okay.
Sanger.
Okay.
And just my strength is I think poetry.
Okay.
I love words. I love playing with words, wordplay.
Yeah.
But and I get all these verses and ideas written out, and then I'm putting it all together, and I'm just so excited about this song.
Right.
I'm doing for my friend who passed away that taught me so much about starting Colts.
Okay.
And then I keep thinking it sounds so familiar, and then I'm just like, dang it, that's an Aaron Watson tune. Oh, and it's like, and my mind keeps on going back to that same melody, fixating. So then I bring in I bring in Joe, my producer, and Joe's a phenomenal songwriter.
Yeah.
Pitch him the idea, and we'll sit down and have a couple of beers.
And I think that in your situation, it's interesting, because I've visited with a lot of songwriters, and I always ask this question: are you a solo songwriter, or are you a collaborator? And some are very, very no. This is very personal for me. I have no interest in collaborating with anybody. I don't like that process. And others are like, no, I absolutely love it. I can't do it without someone else. So it's very up to the individual.
It's very hit or miss for me. So one of my songs, God Bless My Folks.
Okay.
I'd come up with that idea just because, coming to the end of my rodeoing career, and I was just like, I'm just going to circuit rodeo and shoot. And then, I get married. We're, thinking about kids, that whole deal. And I'm just like, I pray to God my kids don't ride Broncs. I'm like, the hell I put my parents through. Like just and my mother's a nurse. So just like, how
many times was she having to nurse you back to health?
Just bad. And and I've had some pretty dang bad wrecks.
Yeah.
And just like, man, if that was my kid, and I'm just like, God bless him for putting up with that. So I pitched that to Joe.
Yeah.
And we
that's a great idea.
Yeah. And so it's all rodeo based.
Yeah.
And and there's so many rodeo parents that reach out to me and say what it means, and that's that, which is great for me because that was my whole intent.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, of the melody of that song was not me at all. That was all Joe. And we sat in the studio, and I pitched this idea, and that's one reason why I like writing with him, is because he goes, okay, here's the key, here's what we're doing, here's your melody. After that, he wrote one line, I think, and all the rest of it just
kind of came out of you.
Yeah, and as we talked about it, it just would rattle off of me. So it like, my strength is a little bit more the lyrics, and I struggle a lot with that. But Joe is such a phenomenal musician, and not only that, his opinion with the way you structure lyrics is very valuable. So I'll bounce that idea off of him, and but then you got I wrote a song for Pickup Man called Pickup Man, and I talked with Bob Tallman on it, and said, man, I got this idea, and he's like, you need to do that. Did you see that? And I'm like, the deal that I did for I think it was Resistol, and I said, no, I watched it about 6 times, getting ideas and talking with all my buddies that I've known through the years, and I remember I got off the phone with Ben Londo, and he was asking me, how's the music going? I said, man, I got this idea I'm messing with. And he goes, well, you need to do that one. That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Once we got off the phone, I wrote it in 20 minutes. And it was the weirdest.
Isn't it amazing? And I talked to a lot of guys that are like that. They said, man, this song just really came to me. And then I've talked to guys that worked on songs for
long time.
Years. Work on a sentence and then, set it aside and it'd come back. I love I got to interview Ned Ledoux, and after Chris passed, he said his mom was in Chris's office, and she had this box. She was going through sorting stuff, and he said, I call it the box of thoughts. There were handwritten notes by Chris, and song titles or lyrics just or whatever, just ideas. And they sent that off to his producer buddies back in Nashville, and then Ned kind of got on with them, and they started, and they because I think his latest album, the majority of those songs have songwriting credit for Chris.
Yeah, and actually,
and then the new one, Hand in the Ring,
yeah, that
which
was so
Bryn
cool.
Hill wrote with somebody else, but Chris cut it. Did his vocals on it 20 some years ago. He's been dead for 20 years.
Right.
But how cool is that? The world we live in today.
And like Ned, I love what Ned's doing too.
Yeah.
I knew Bo when I was starting my rodeo career in high school. I'd always idolized Ned, of course.
Oh yeah.
And Chris.
Sure.
And after Alamosa, like the next year, we got an opportunity to open for Ned, and
cool.
Yep, him and I the amount of people obviously we know we're in the same same world.
Well, yeah. Listen, the rodeo world and the music world are fairly well connected. Yeah. Now, in especially the genre here, it's more cowboy music, western music, I guess, if you will. Because you got country fans. You tell them, well, Ned Ledoux, and they go, who? Chris Ledoux? Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. But they all know Luke, and they all know the big names.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Anyway,
but I mean, and Ned, he'd come out with that song, "Another Horse to Ride," and that was actually written by a man in Springville, Larry Bastian.
Okay,
he'd written his son Nick Bastian and I have become good friends.
Okay,
and but Larry had written Rodeo for Garth Brooks. He wrote Unanswered Prayers. He's wrote songs for Tracy Byrd.
Oh,
and all
cool.
That. And so it was kind of cool as we got friends. He goes, yeah, there's a song Dad wrote I thought you would have really liked that an artist picked up, and he showed it to me, and it was Another Horse. I'm like, Ned picked that up. And I'm like, shoot, that's one of Ned's good songs. And,
yeah.
But it's crazy how it's all intertangled, and like, shoot, you're from Wasco. No one's from Wasco.
Well, I'm not actually from there, but I lived there.
Right.
Yeah. I spent some time there, and got to know when I was riding cutting horses back in the early '80s, and ended up. I'd had a job offer in a different place in California. It didn't work out, and I just ended up in Wasco and working for Wayne Hodges. And so, but the people around that valley, from Moshe Junction and out, they all know Porterville, they all know Wasco, right? Right. But that's the rose capital of California, or actually the rose capital of the world at one time.
I did not know
Jackson
that.
and Perkins had a huge. They produced a lot of roses there.
Wow.
Rose starts.
They do have a lot of flower fields up there still.
Yeah.
But for me, that's been the biggest blessing too. Is being in the rodeo community so long, and that's really the reason why even the music thing has gotten me anywhere, and it's nowhere near what I want it to be, or and I'm trying.
Right.
But and I'm still very, very small fish in a big pond.
Well, and I think that it's really interesting because as I've learned through this podcast process, we haven't been doing this a long time, just since July. But we've followed live music for years, right? So we this is our passion, this is our love. But I had no idea who you were until a mutual acquaintance introduced us.
But that's the beauty of it too.
But what I want to do now, I'll become a fan of your music, and I'll share it through the podcast.
I appreciate that.
I'm
hoping you enjoy it.
and we're hoping that you share our podcast with your followers and with your friends, because we're all in the same boat, right? We're fledgling, but we're growing. Man, I have people tell me, they go, well, I listen to your podcast, but I don't know who that is. Yeah. No, but what I can promise you, number one, there's a good, interesting, compelling story behind every artist, right? Why you got started, what your musical journey was, what your music's about, and where you're going. And then once you establish that, I mean, I saw Parker McCullum when no one knew who he was.
Right.
No one. I mean, 6-7 years ago, and now he's opening for King George.
Yeah, shoot. We went to go see, I think Aaron Watson or somebody in Bakersfield. I'm like, yeah, shoot, I'll go. And this fella stepped up, opened for him, and phenomenal voice. I'm just like, who is this guy? Well, now we all know him as Luke Combs.
Oh yeah, yeah,
just,
yeah. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah,
and then what the other thing that we love to tell the stories about are the songs. Who wrote the song, and what's the backstory to it? I mean, we went to Whitefish, to the Songwriter Festival in Whitefish, and Josh Phillips was there. He wrote Dirt Cheap, and you know that he wrote it for Luke.
I did not know that.
Sent it to Luke, and Luke never got back to him.
Wow.
And and I've told this story on this podcast this week, but he said, he told his wife, he said, man, I'm a little shocked that Luke didn't respond to that. I think it's a great song. And his wife goes, you know what? Why don't you send it to Cody Johnson? And he goes, I don't really know Cody. He goes, no, but you know his manager, Trent Willman.
Yeah.
Send it to Trent. He sent it to Trent, and he said, 5 minutes later, the phone rings. It's Trent. He goes, thanks for making an old cowboy cry. We're cutting it next week.
That's awesome.
How cool is that story? And, you know, would it have become a number one with Luke? Yeah, probably. It's a great song. It has good bones. It's just a great story.
It is.
And that's hard to beat when you have the makings for a good story.
Yeah.
And who can deliver it? Most guys could deliver it.
Yeah. And especially a guy like Cody too. You know, that man's a master.
Yeah.
But,
he's such and this is what I love about music as well, is you're storytellers. You love words, you love wordplay, you're probably a poet, probably done some cowboy poems and stuff like that. I've been to Elko, to the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering. I've been to a lot of poetry stuff. I like that stuff. Dabbled a little bit in it myself. I like the idea of songs. I have song ideas in my head, but I'm not talented enough, I don't think, you know. And so anyway, you always worry about somebody being critical of, you know, why would you say that? That doesn't make sense.
And that's what held me back, honestly, for a lot of it. And then, you know, it wasn't until, you know, I wrote something, I'd written a few things I'd shown to people that thought it was phenomenal, but then quite a few guys that, you know, shied away from it. And then, it wasn't until we released God Bless My Folks, and I had the bunch of people just reaching out to me, and like, you know, it didn't go big or, you know, anything quite that. I'm still just you know, who knows me, but the fact that it impacted that many people and spoke to them, I was like, okay, I do need to, you know, and use that authenticity. And you know, speaking of pitching songs, the song even we just cut, Fence, was written by a friend of mine in Texas. He's from Visalia originally, and he wrote one tune he sent to me, and he'd sent it to Cody Johnson's producer, got some good feedback and everything, but, you know, nothing ever happened. And I called him, and I'm just like, man, I want this song. I believe in it. The skeleton's good in it. You got to let me help you out a little bit. Because there was so much about it that wasn't, you know, rodeo songs are hard. They're so, even the guys that have lived it and everything, you know, from even just, hey, that's the wrong time of year. You know, you can't say that. Why not? That's the wrong time of year. You know, and that's the wrong rodeo. You
can't talk about Salinas in the fall.
It's funny you say that, because Salinas got brought up in it, and I was like, man, you got to talk about Salinas right here. And why? And he goes, why? We're talking about Wyoming, and I'm like, what comes after Salinas? Cheyenne, and he's like, I don't know that. And I'm like, I know. Let me help you. Like, just let's.
You got to understand the progression, because the guys that listen that do know that are going to listen to it and they're going to
stick out like a sore thumb.
That guy didn't know what he's talking about.
But this songwriter, though, had such a catchy groove, such a catchy hook. And, you know, I don't want to reveal too much because we're going to start recording it next month. But,
well, that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Him and I, you know, went back and forth on it for, a good while. And we finally got something we're both happy with.
That's cool.
And I'm real excited for it. But cool. It just, you know, it's taking that talent he's got.
So how much stuff have you got on streaming?
I think 4 or 5 songs, 4 or 5, something like that. Not a whole lot. My producer's Joe. He's done real well in Nashville now, and so, you know, I'm even starting to become a lower, you know, because he's not in California all the time. I myself have never even been in Nashville.
Oh, you haven't? I've only been once.
Yeah, I need to get over there.
It's a cool city.
Yeah.
Have you been to Austin?
Yeah.
Have you been to New Braunfels? Have you been to Green Hall?
Yep.
Oh my God, that's the mother church of Texas country music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But Nashville, I've not made it out. So I mean, in like you know, Joe, that's where he lives, and so when he comes home for, you know, Thanksgiving, or hey, we got some shows this summer, do you want to record? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, and we'll get in there and record some. So you know, I've got 2 with him that are, you know, about ready to fire off. That I've just kind of been sitting on, you know, releasing yet. This song I was just telling you about, I'd really like to get that out before this next year, hopefully. And just keep on working with him on that. But like I said, with me, that's one of my flaws, is like, I've got to feel confident in the song. I've got to feel, and I'm not signed with anybody. I'm doing this all on my own, which makes it hard even one to get known.
But you know what? You know what? The world we live in today.
Yeah.
Podcasts,
right? Well,
internet,
just the good friends I've got, and like I said, that's my biggest blessing is the rodeo community,
yes.
And
and the support.
Ryder and Roper Kiesner, we've both helped each other. Me, Ryder and Roper. We've he made knives for my guys that for as groomsmen, and we all just help each other out, and we see opportunity. Well,
that's the rodeo world, my friend, and that's the cool thing, and I'm finding it really kind of ties into the music world as well. Literally, there's a lot of music people that there are some places that are a little more cutthroat than others, but Texas they're very friendly and very.
I've heard nothing but that about Texas.
Texas is very
everyone's
good.
helping everybody.
Yeah. Now Nashville, and Nashville's pretty good, but they said California and New York. If you sit down with six guys in the songwriting process, and one guy came up with one word, you're going to get 1% of that royalty. Everybody else is going to get the lion's share of it. They said even in Nashville, and I've interviewed several Nashville songwriters, they said, look, if there's 4 people in the room, you split it 4 ways.
Yeah.
If one guy came up with the title, that's an integral part of the songwriting process, and he's going to get his equal share.
Right.
And so, which I think is cool. Texas is very interesting, but it's its own music machine. You talk about Nashville.
I really admire
the big
that
machine.
about it, though. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
You can listen to a song and not even, that's a Texas guy.
Right.
Sure,
Well, I mean, and it goes back to those guys like Ray Wiley Hubbard and Robert Earl Keen and Jerry Jeff Walker, and that their influence that they had on the music scene and stuff. So anyway, cool deal.
Yeah. Well, Nashville, I can't speak too much on. Like I said, I've never been there. I've got all I know is what Joe teaches me. But this is a whole nother realm I got kind of put into. And the help I've had along the way has been phenomenal. And honestly, it's been from the rodeo community, which is great. And guys like Chancey, like Chancey, I've needed, hey man, I need advice on this. Can you give me a call? And he'll, call me a day or two later and, talk to me for a bit and kind of be like, I just kind of do this or kind of do that.
Yeah.
And,
I had a great visit with him yesterday. Great interview.
Phenomenal, dude.
Yeah,
I can't speak enough.
And honestly, that's what I loved about him and even Corb and some of these other guys are very approachable.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We're in about 30 minutes, but grab that guitar if you would. Play me a little song. Do you need there's a capo on there. There's a pick in there too, in the strings, unless you got your own pick. I know you. Some of you guitar guys are fussy about your picks.
Well, let me talking to Mike here.
And there is
my lovely wife got me my own custom Gibson as a wedding gift, and it's the expensive guitar came with this little pick holder.
That's awesome. Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah. So pull that pick out so it doesn't. You're gonna.
What do we want to hear?
I want to hear whatever you want to play for me. So seriously, I mean, let's see. Hang on a second.
You haven't got any saying.
I'm going to turn this on. You might want to check the tuning.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
What do you want to hear?
Okay, you're going to have to pull that microphone back around to you, though, so we can pick up a little. I got a little bit picking up on this microphone here, but there you go.
All right. Let's do, should I do original cover? What do you think?
You do an original. I would like to hear you do an original.
Do the Pickup Man, then. Why not?
There you go.
We're talking about that. We are at a rodeo crowd here.
There you go.
The unsung heroes are no longer unsung.
Okay.
There's proof of legends told. Watch real close, you'll see the definition of the man the cowboy's supposed to be. A master of the chaos and a hero in disguise. He'll put himself straight through hell and ride out saving lives. Might not be an angel, but he's God's hand on a horse. The crowd cheers for the show, he's a savior to the sport. He's the elite of a dying breed who never needs a fame. The guardian of the rodeo, and pickup man's his name. Cowboys all hit the road, but he must stick around. Them local gals want a Marlboro man while the rodeo's in town. You'll wonder how he does it, but it don't surprise me none. His broncs and bulls ain't the only thing he's known for picking up. Might not be an angel, but he's God's hand on a horse. The crowd cheers for the show, he's a savior to the sport. He's the elite of a dying breed who never needs a fame. The guardian of the rodeo, and the pickup man's his name. He's the elite of a dying breed who never needs a fame. The guardian of the rodeo, and pickup man's his name.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, where can they find your music and your information? How do we find it?
Anywhere you stream. We got a website, justinlawrencemusic.com.
Okay.
And anywhere you get your music, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube.
Okay.
Should be.
And then you're all on all social media platforms as well?
Yes, sir. TikTok, I believe. Yeah, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, cool. Well, make sure you follow us here before you put that down here. I need you to autograph it.
Yes,
so
sir.
Don't sign the front of it. It's too damn pretty.
Oh no, this is a pretty guitar.
So sign. What do you think? So that's a TETON. That is an Idaho company.
I've never played one of these.
Yeah, it's a beautiful guitar.
The action is set up great. It plays very good.
Yeah, it's a nice guitar and it's pretty. Yeah, so that's spalted maple is the top.
I was gonna say
solid top.
It looks maple, but I was like,
it's
flame
definitely solid maple, and then or whatever they do on the sides. But anyway, pick a spot on the side there that we've been signing at. You might have to sign down below on the bottom or somewhere. We've got some great. We're getting that sucker filled up now. Bear Pasco, the Bear signed it. The other today actually, and so we've.
Bear about saved me from getting stranded at Brawley one year.
Did he?
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He is.
Yeah.
So he was a Fresno State guy like me. And, went to school with a lot of his cousins.
Oh, did you?
My area. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he is from Visalia, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, do you know
Lefty?
Well, Lefty's from. I saw Lefty today. I'd like to interview her.
He's from Visalia.
Yeah.
I'm getting old. Well, listen, I want to wind things down, but thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having us.
I've enjoyed it. I appreciate. Thank you to Ryder and Roper, Kiesner for hooking us up. It's been fun to sit down and meet somebody new, and you got a new fan for me. I love that song.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Now, is that one available on Spotify?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So, all right. Well, hey, for Musical Miles Podcast, I'm your host, Byron Duffin. We are here in Las Vegas, Nevada at the National Finals Rodeo. I am here with Justin.
Lawrence,
yes. It's getting old. Hey, for Musical Miles Podcast, we'll see you somewhere down the road. Adios for now.